All right, guys, welcome back to Crossman Productions. Um, we made it through the weekend. Happy Easter to everybody. Yesterday was Easter, so hopefully, you got a chance to get off from work and actually spend some time, celebrating Easter. So you guys know that I've been a big fan of a show called Vindication. Um, a couple of weeks ago, Jared invited me on the set to be a background role, which I was really excited about because I've been trying to get on the show forever. Um, and then I've interviewed just so many of the cast members. They're amazing people. Jared, Todd Cherry, Venus, Monique, Steve McCabe. We had Buddy and Olivia Disney on, and so we just got to sit down with a lot of the cast members. But when I got to go a couple of weeks ago, I actually got to hang out on the set with TC Stallings and Sharonne Lanier. Um, so I'm pretty excited about being about my next guest being on. It's funny because you know when I first started doing this show, I didn't realize the network and be able to connect with one person to another and how small the world really is. So you guys know we had Ginger Crossman on. We've been following her career for a while since she was in the movie The Jesus Revolution. My next guest, I've seen a lot of her stuff, and I didn't realize that she was in Vindication. But I got to meet her on the set, so I'm gonna bring her right now. I want you guys to get to meet Sharonne Lanier. What's up, Sharonne?
What's up, good people?
So how's everything going today?
Pretty good. Listen, Parks, when you were like, I've met a lot of people on Vindication and I've gotten to interview them. And then you said, quote unquote, they're amazing people. I was
Right?
like, oh, he's interviewing me. So I guess I'm an amazing person too.
The cast has just been really, just really cool people, man. And then I love the show. So it's funny because Ginger is the one who introduced me to Venus.
Uh-huh.
And then there I got to meet a lot of the cast. Cameron Arnett, has done a movie review with me, and I'm gonna try to get him to come back in and him and TC and talk about The Forge because that's gonna be a great movie.
Yeah. I know. I'm excited. They've been playing it at festivals. I haven't seen it yet. And I have
Right?
like a small, tiny day player role in that one too.
Oh,
So
cool.
it was a great thing to be a part of for sure.
Well, did you see the first one, the War Room?
Yes. Yes. And I was all inspired because I think at that time when I saw it, I was still trying to break into the faith-based industry. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So it's like one of like my favorite movies. I'm like, man, it's crazy.
Well, cool. So when you say that, being one of your favorite movies, to be able to be a part of that, what was that like?
Man, okay. So I've actually like been following like the Kendrick brothers since like I went back and saw Flywheel like years later, but like, like the first one to hit the theaters was Facing the Giants. So like really I had that first like realization. Well, I can't say it was the first moment, but I remember like seeing that in theaters and being like, okay, this is like possible, whatever. So you fast forward to like War Room and I'm like just super inspired. But it was just like it's just like when you keep seeing faith-based films be made over and over and the production value is well, it just lets you know that like, hey, like there's opportunities out there. So don't give up. Just, hold the fort, march on, and it's possible. So it was, So that's the kind of emotions that it stirred up in me. Like it's possible. It's possible. Don't give up.
We're gonna start go back around on that too because I got some questions on that with faith-based films. But I want people to get to learn a little bit more about you. So, Love Mountain is Snow, kind of where you were born and raised. And what was life like for Sharonne growing up?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, with the beaches. And
Wow.
so actually right now I live in Atlanta, Georgia, right? So I didn't realize how valuable the beaches are. So if you live somewhere where there's a beach, just please appreciate it and soak it in. So
Right.
like I literally miss being able to wake up in the morning and be like, you know what, today I think I'm going to go to the beach. Like now that's like not an option. You have to plan and organize
Right.
and all that jazz. But it was great just being in that city. Very diverse culture. So I didn't realize that I was in a melting pot essentially, where you just had so many different nationalities.
Right.
So I think that was very like advantageous to not just like view the world from one point of view. Like you just had so many different viewpoints coming at you at one time. So after I moved away, I realized, how valuable that was. So that was great. But grew up in a very loving household. In fourth grade, I went to, it was a new elementary school. We moved. And so I went to a new elementary school, and that school was having an oratorical contest.
Okay.
And it was anybody in the school could participate. And it
Right.
was the I Have a Dream speech from
Oh, wow.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Right.
Right. And so I had never done anything like that, was never exposed to anything like that. But my teacher was like, no, you're not going to just decide if you want to go to the contest. What you're going to do is you're going to memorize the speech and you're going to perform it in front of the class. And
Wow.
then if you want to go to the contest, then you can. So I was like essentially forced to learn
Right.
this speech.
Wow.
But I did it and I enjoyed it.
Right.
Went on to do the contest, won the contest. But there were older people in the audience who had lived in that era. And I'll never forget the faces,
Right.
the expressions on their faces. And that
Right.
did something to me. Like it essentially said, Sharonne, you have the power to influence with your words. And
Wow.
so that like sparked my desire to
Wow.
do something on stage. But yeah, so anyway, I didn't really do much with it when I was young, but I knew when I went to college I was going to study theater. So just continued my childhood. It was nice and encouraging.
Right.
Got good grades. My mom and stepdad put Christ first, so I had a strong, solid foundation with
Okay.
Jesus Christ. I will say, and Parks, just stop me if I'm rambling too much.
No, you're
But I
good.
will. What'd you say?
You're good. This is your journey. So good.
Because I could go. I try to tame myself, but sometimes it's just like, bring her back in. But anyway, so like in ninth grade, so even though I had the strong Christian foundation,
Right.
in ninth grade, I started to question Christianity. And it was because we took a world religion course in ninth grade. Well, no, it was actually world geography. It was the course, but we studied world religions. And so I started to just learn more and more about the different religions. And I was like, man, like, what makes me think Jesus is the only way? Like literally, like I was starting to feel like really, I don't know, pious or I don't know. Like it was like, like maybe you should consider the other religions. Like, why do you think you have the answer, right? And so, like around that time, and I'm not kidding, Parks, like crazy stuff started happening in my house in the spiritual realm. So like one night I was sleeping and I woke up to see like my door closing itself. So the door was closed, but when I woke up, it was like it was open and I saw it closing itself. So I'm like screaming out in the hallway, like, hey, who's there? Nobody answers. And I'm like, okay, that's odd. So then the next morning, I ask everybody in the house, was somebody, checking on me last night, trying to come in the room? Everybody's like, no. I'm like, that's interesting. Well, this happens again and again. And so then I just start locking my door. And it's one of those knobs that you can like turn like that. I don't know what they're called. I should find out the technical term, but you turn it, you know what I'm saying? Like you grab the thing and you turn it like that. So like after I would lock it, I would wake up to see it like unlocking itself.
Wow.
Freaky stuff. The ceiling fan, like if I had it off, I would wake up to see it like coming to a stop as if it had been on and now it was stopping. It was like I would always wake up to see like something weird. And then at the same time, I was So this is what I'm seeing with my own eyes. But then at the same time, I'm having nightmares. It's what the scientific world would call like sleep paralysis, where you're like sleep, and your mind is awake, but you can't move, you can't speak, you can't say anything.
Right.
So I was having that, but then I would like see like little like black figures at the end of my bed, like trying to come up the bed. They wouldn't necessarily come up, but they'd be at the bottom of the bed, like, moving around and stuff like that. So we had like people come over to like pray. My mom and stepdad did come over, pray, all that stuff. Nothing was helping. Like it was still happening. Like it was just like, this is horrible. And I'm like 14 years old. So it's just like a nightmare. Wow. Like I can't sleep. Like, I got to go to school the next day. And it's just like, nights and nights of this chaos. And I don't remember how long it went on. That part is blurry, like how long it went on. I would venture to say like no more than a month, maybe a couple of weeks, but I can't really remember the timeline. But one night, like I had enough. I went in to sleep in my sister's room. She wasn't home that night, so I slept in her room. And I did close her door. I had the TV station on TBN, like thinking like, I got it on a Christian station. Maybe that'll help. But I woke up in the middle of the night and it was not a dream. I literally saw like this 7 to 9 foot figure coming towards me.
Wow.
So I'm like laying in the bed and it's just coming towards me. And then it like, and the 7 to 9 foot figure, it was like the outline of a human body, but no distinguishable features. And it was like orange, reddish in color and kind of like watery. So it comes towards me, stops, pauses, and then like flies back outside of the door. And then kind of closes the door with it, but not all the way, just leaves it cracked. And then at this point, I'm like frozen in fear. And I finally, like after, I don't know, a couple of seconds, like work up the nerve to say, in the name of Jesus. So I just scream it out loud, in the name of Jesus. And then I literally hear what sounds to be like a fight in the hallway. It sounded like furniture being thrown into the wall, just bang, 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 like super loud. And then it stopped. And then like, so I'm still like scared or whatever. So and this is like back in the days of like you use your house phone. So I like pick up the phone. I call like one of my cousins and I'm like, I'm going to hang up, call right back so mom can answer the phone on the other end of the house, So we hang up, they call back. My mom answers the phone on the other hand. I'm like, come to the other side of the house, come get me or whatever. So my mom and stepdad come, I tell them what happened. We prayed. And that's, it is what it is. But what happened is like over the next, I can't remember if it was a week later or 2 weeks later, I realized nothing else creepy is happening in the house. So no more opening of the doors by itself, no more ceiling fans going on and off by itself. Like all of that literally stopped. And then it clicked. Ron, when you saw that demon and you screamed in the name of Jesus, his power took over and it was done. And I was like, okay, the name of Jesus has power. So yeah, my faith was solidified. And I've seen other things throughout the year, but that was like a super defining moment for me. Like, okay, like, sorry guys, I know y'all want to go with these other religions, but I have firsthand knowledge that like the name of Jesus has power. And we just need to go ahead and submit.
Wow. So you were only 14 at that time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Crazy. So that was a segue, right? So we were talking about my life, right? Where were we? Yeah. So I went to college. So fast forward, went to college and studied theater. But I knew because like I had Christ as a foundation that I always wanted to like put him first. So like I made the commitment to like, okay, you're going to do like God honoring things in this business. So that's always been my heart's cry. I think, like human nature can get in there and be like, hey, you want the accolades, like, you want some awards, you want to make, X, Y, Z type of money. But that definitely like whenever that starts to rise up, like I just have to like, die to it because my ultimate goal is to really glorify Christ with what I do. So a lot of the projects that I do, that's what you'll see. And they're not necessarily all faith-based. I definitely do secular work as well. But as long as it's, pointing people in the positive direction and not like, hey, this is gonna lead you in some kind of weird way. So yeah, that's pretty much me. I haven't always. I will say that like some of my earlier Parks, are you frozen? Parks is frozen. Oh my goodness. So I don't know if we're still live. Let me see. The little timer is still going. I don't even know if somebody's watching, but if you are watching right now, because I don't know, most people might watch the playback. I don't know. I would back up and say that even though I've like wanted to like glorify God with what I want to do, some of the earlier projects that I've done, it's been more so like my role was clean and decent, but the actual project, maybe not. But now I do keep that at the front of my brain, for sure, to like make sure that the projects itself, because it's a creative, it's a what do you call it? It's a collaboration. So make sure that whoever I'm collaborating with is telling a story that, I can say that, I think God will be proud of this. So yeah, that's that. So that was that thought. So we'll see how long it takes Parks to come back so we can get to the next thought. I wish there was like some type of chat thing in here where I could like see questions. Actually, there probably is, but I'm not the host, right? So only Parks would be able to see that, to see the questions if there are questions and whatnot. But yeah, I hope all is well for everyone watching. And I hope that you're living out your God-given callings, like whatever that may be, whatever it may be. And I don't think that we just have one calling. Like I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and those are callings in themselves. And so I just hope that I'm glorifying Him and all that too. All right, Parks, there you are. The audience. I don't even know if they're here or not, but
man, I hate when I'm in the middle of a show and I lose internet connection.
You need to upgrade your internet package then, huh?
I don't know. I mean, I actually switched from a different service to StreamYard. Oh. And StreamYard's been really reliable.
Yeah.
But every so often, it wants to boot me out of my own show. I don't know.
I know, that's great.
So what did I miss? I apologize, everybody. One of the things I keep telling people is one of the good things that happened after the whole COVID is, we've got all this new technology to be able to do stuff, but the technology hasn't been perfected yet. So
yeah.
Sometimes in the middle of a live broadcast, it wants to remind us.
Right. And in your defense, you were left unsupervised.
That's exactly. Okay. In my defense.
That's
wow.
great.
Okay. So what did I miss? I mean, I apologize.
I just finished explaining why I do the roles that I do. And I do realize that like everybody watching may not be like faith-based, but that's just like my journey. So yeah.
Right. When I talked to Venus Monique about the roles that she does, like she has strict, kind of guidelines of things that she'll do and things that she, lines that she won't cross. Uh-huh. Is that same? Because it's the same with because I know you do both faith-based and some it's not faith-based.
Yeah.
So is it the same thing?
Yeah. So I have certain, now it's more so about what the story is. Right. And I think I was trying to explain a little bit when you were offline, that I think like earlier in my career, it was like, okay, Sharonne, if your role is God honoring, then it's fine. Like, who cares about the script? But if your role, is fine, like then go ahead and do it. But I started to get convicted with that too, because, I would do certain projects and maybe I was a doctor, fine. But then when I would go to watch the actual project, like it was so demonic in nature. And it was just like, ooh, like, I don't want to promote like, the demonic stuff. And I heard this quote from Anton LaVey, who is the founder of the Church of Satan. And he literally said, television is the major mainstream infiltration for the new satanic religion. And so it was just like, man, like there's a purposeful agenda in Hollywood to like steer us, in evil directions. So so now like my line is, if the project is going to steer you, towards, some immoral thing, then I don't want to be a part of it. But if it's going to point you to like truth and hope, whether it's faith-based or secular, then I'm in. So that's pretty much my dividing lines there.
Cool.
Yeah. Ooh, there's another quote. Harvey Weinstein. He said, and I think when he was saying, because I didn't hear him say the quote, I just like read it somewhere. So he probably said it like with this like very like positive like attitude. But he said, film has given America an acceptance of things I don't think they would have embraced. I'm gonna say it again. Film has given America an acceptance of things I don't think they would have embraced. And I'm like, oh, like you probably think that's good, but now you got us all. You know what I mean? Like, but it's true. Like I would watch certain things and be like, oh yeah, like I'm rooting for the murderer, or for, you know what I mean? Like for the the person that's committing adultery. And it's like, wait a minute. Like this is not how we want to live. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Wow. But one of the good things is faith-based films have come so far. Back, when I was younger, faith-based films were so cheesy. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were just, I don't know. I guess I would call them cringy back then. They were just, you show a bunch of kids, getting drunk, but they're playing hard rock Christian music in the background.
Right.
You're like, I'm pretty sure they're not listening to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's reality in that.
Right. And so, but now, and I think part of it has to do with the Kendricks brothers, because, once they did Firewheel and Courageous and, Facing the Giants, I think that those movies were so powerful, and I remember pretty much in every one of those sitting in a theater with a bunch of people watching these films, and how it reached, each of those films reached the audience, and then to see shows like Vindication, what Jared's doing, I think that that faith base has come a long way. And not only has it come a long way, but it's bringing out more opportunities for actors like yourself.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree. Yeah. And we've definitely come a long way. Some of the stuff is still cheesy. But some of the stuff is really good. But I do appreciate the heart behind all of it. That we're not just sitting back doing nothing with our gifts. Like we're actually, trying to go out there and glorify him, for sure. But yeah, like you said, it's so exciting for people like me who want to do like more quality, things, to be able to be like, that company's doing something. Because when we were younger, like it just wasn't there. Like it's just like it's not non-existent. So yeah, so that's what's up.
Oh, cool. So you went to college and you started doing. Did you start in theater first and then kind of go?
Yeah. So my first 10 years was more on the theater side of things. Right. And then this last decade has been more on the TV film side of things. Okay. Which they are different. So theater requires a lot more time because you're putting in so much time rehearsing, right? You just really got to rehearse that thing before you go live. And then once you go live, like you may be slated to run for 1 month to 2 months. So you're already looking at like maybe a 3-month commitment just on that one production, as opposed to TV film. Well, it depends on your role. If you're in a film with a leading role, you're going to have more time to be on set or whatever. But if it's like a supporting role and a day player role, I do a lot of day player roles for television here in Atlanta, because we have a lot of TV going on, the SAG projects or whatever. And those you just pop in for one day, boom, and you're done. So like I have a family, so it's so feasible for me to be able to just do that and still make good money. And especially if it's a union gig, like what you make on one day on a union gig might take you like a week or two to make on a theater gig equity at the equity level. So at the union level. So yeah. So I love it. I mean, but the art, I love the art of both of them. So I always said, like, once my kids got older and out of the house, like I'd probably dive back into theater. Hopefully my husband would travel with me. But yeah, so I don't know. They're both so fun.
A lot of people do that. They start in theater and they go into television. One of the things I always ask them is, which do you feel is more difficult, live theater, or television?
They're both difficult for different reasons. Like, man, and I wonder which one I would prefer. Like if Parks, if you were like, Sharonne, you only have a choice. You can only do one or the other, like for the rest of your life. Like, which one would I choose? Like, I don't know. I guess because I've like been doing TV film for so long, for the last decade, I probably just stay with that. And just knowing that I have flexibility, I probably stay with that. But I would say like with stage, the challenge is from the stage, you need to reach that person emotionally on the back row. So they need to be able to feel everything that your characters are going through way at the back row. So it's quite a challenge. You got to put that in your body and display it so that they can feel it way back there, as opposed to TV film, which is challenging too. Everything is internal. So your thought process, like the camera sees your thought process. So if you're not present in the scene, like the camera can see that, like, that's not a real emotion. And I still, like, even after being in it for so long, like I still kind of struggle with that. Like, just let everything go and live, be in the moment. So that's a nice, unique, and fun challenge. And oftentimes when you come from theater into TV film, everything is so big that you have to like tone it down. So that is a challenge in itself too, just toning it down. Like, nobody back there needs to hear it. Your partner is right here. I remember going my first day, again, stop me if I'm going too much, but but I remember my first day on a SAG TV show. It was called Army Wives back in 2011. And I was working with two of the lead actors for that show. And like I said, like I was green, still like kind of fresh from theater. But like watching them do their scene, I was like, it feels like they're doing nothing. Like they were sitting there, like whispering. And I'm like, they're essentially in my mind, like doing nothing. But when the episode released and I watched that moment, I was like, it's so beautiful and so perfect and so truthful. Like, it was just mind blowing to me. Like, that's all it takes is for you to like sit back, relax, be honest, not show, but just be. So yeah, but but like I said, that can be challenging. And with theater, you have to use your diaphragm, you have to project. With TV film, you don't. There was something else I wanted to say with it. Oh, this is another big one. You have to memorize, you have to know your lines inside and out for theater, right? The whole thing. So if you're doing a 3-hour play, you got to know all of that. And there's no stopping, right? Like if you flub it and you just really went blank, then you better improv something, but there's no takeovers. But in TV film, like if you flub a line, like it's fine, you can take over it. And a lot of times you don't have to have the whole script memorized before you go in. I try to do that, but I already know, like, okay, if make sure I have the first couple of days down, if for whatever reason time is an issue, and then I can pick it up, while we're, before we get to that shoot date, to memorize that day's worth of, work or whatever, and get that down. So yeah, those are the different things that I've noticed and I have fun with. So
wow. So do you remember your first television gig going from theater, and what was that like?
Yeah, so that was Army Wives. So that was the one I was just talking about. Well, that was my first union one. Was that my first? Okay. So that was my first like union one, but I did a film, I think in 2007 or 2006 would have been my first like film that I did. It was an independent film. called After the Buzzer Sounds. And yeah, like it was like I said, I was like nervous because it was like all kind of new, but not like it wasn't crippling nervous, because I still had the acting background.
Right.
Um, and I had been on some sets before, like commercials or whatever, so I kind of knew what to expect. But still, it's different, like having that camera right in front of you. So, but having to pretend like the camera is not there.
Yeah.
So going through all of that. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I was like, yeah, I think I could live here. Like I remember being like it kind of validated, like, yeah, you do want to go into TV film.
Right.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's good.
So let me ask you this, because I know that a lot of new actors, a lot of them watch our show, are coming up and aspiring actors. And then we have a lot of actors who are, a part of SAG. They're part of a union.
Mm-hmm.
Would you, as an actress, do you recommend like being part of a union, or is that better for an artist, or how does that work?
Yeah. So it depends on where you live.
Okay.
So if you live in a state that is not right to work, then yes, you want to join to the union so that you can be eligible to go out for those parts that pay the big money. Like,
Right.
a part of an actor's struggle is like, you want to like be creative, right?
Right.
And you still okay, you froze for a minute. I was like, oh no, is he leaving? Okay, you're still
Oh.
but you want to be able to make a living at it, right? And so you can always be creative. Like you could just create your own stuff and you can like
Right.
always do that, but are you going to make the money? So union projects, typically you'll be able to make some good money. But if you're you're in a state that is not a right to work state, then
Right.
you're going to have to join the union to get those gigs. I live in Georgia, which is a right to work state, which
Right.
means whether you are union or non-union, you are still eligible to apply or audition for a role. And production companies are not bound to say, oh, we're only going to hire somebody in the union. They can literally hire outside of the union.
Right.
So I recommend that. And mainly for me, it works for me because I do more faith-based, more family-oriented films, and they are non-union. So if I were to join the union, then that
Right.
means I can no longer do the projects that are non-union. And
Right.
most of the faith-based, they're not all of them, but most of the faith-based, most of the good family-oriented, they're just independent. And so that would boot me out of those projects. And for theater, I learned that young. So for theater, starting off in stage, I got my equity card, working with Disney World. I got my equity card. When I moved to Atlanta, I joined equity. So that's the union for stage. So
Right.
joined that. And after I joined that, all of these other little opportunities that I saw
Right.
that I wanted to be a part of, I couldn't do because I was equity. And so I was like, okay, so when you get the opportunity to become SAG,
Right.
maybe not jump into it. So I've been SAG eligible since Army Wives 2011.
Right.
But I haven't joined, I haven't been forced to. So I'm just personally, it works for me.
Right.
So yeah, that's my recommend. I like know where you live, and know like what you want to do. So if all you want to do is like those like the SAG projects anyway,
Right. Right.
then hey, go for
Right.
it. But that's just not my case.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that too with the SAG projects. They tend to get you tend to make more money from SAG projects because investors tend to put more money in those types of projects.
Right.
But the downside to that, and we saw, is whenever they have like the actor strike,
Yeah.
and then once the actor strike hits, then you're unable to do anything. You can't,
Yeah.
you're union. So I've had a lot of friends who are SAG that just had to set it out,
Yeah.
and then you're missing all those opportunities, all that money, and
Yep. Yeah. It's crazy. I know.
yeah.
people would ask me like, "So how are you doing with the strike?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm fine." It was like, it was like so those independent projects were still going on. I'm like,
So,
but I will say that I do like what SAG stands for, like how they do represent their members very well. Like because
right,
I've worked on SAG SAG feature films. One of the SAG feature films I worked on, there was an issue with like payment, but the
right.
SAG lawyers, even though I'm not union, but because it was a SAG production, they went to bat for me and made
Oh,
sure
wow.
that I got my money and penalties and all of that jazz. So yeah,
Wow. There's always pros and cons to everything, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's the same thing with big feature films being in big feature films and being in independent films. There's
yeah.
there's a lot of people that's trying to break from independent going to the big feature films, but I think there's benefits in each.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we're talking about the whole um, COVID thing, during that time frame, we thought, once that kind of was over, we saw such an influx of independent films,
Yeah.
and the technology to give the little guy, a chance to make, some really good films. And that's one of the things I really like about independent films too, is the big theaters normally seem to go with franchises. They,
Yeah.
do the same movie over and over, Rush Hour 2, Rush Hour
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
So, but independent films, I think, have more freedom, and they tend out to put out, I guess, fresh content.
Uh-huh.
Fresh ideas, and it's kind of one of the things I really like about the independent film.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you're not on a tight leash. So like
Right,
because and especially like when you're going out and you're getting your own funding, like you can
right,
just be pretty much as creative as you want to be, as opposed to like if you have to go through like studio execs and all that stuff. They're like, no, no, like we know this sells, so you're gonna make it do it this way, or we're not giving you the
right,
money. So yeah, and that's one of the things too. Like I really love about Vindication because that's non-union. And see, like if we were union, like we couldn't like work on Vindication.
yeah,
But I love that, like how creative that show to me, and I'm not being like, I fell in love with the show before I was even like invited to be a part of the show. Like I was a huge fan before it coming on. But to me, that's like one of the best faith-based episodics out there. The creativity with telling stories, and not like it's presenting Christ, but not like overtly like bogging you down with like scripture after scripture to where you're just like, wait, what's happening here? Like the
right,
way that they do that is just like so powerful.
right,
But would they have been able to do that if they had like somebody in their ear, like from the get go?
right.
No, I don't think so.
Right. I talked to Jared about that too, and I think that's one of the things I appreciate the most about Vindication is that it's faith based. It gets us, um, it gets its point across,
Mhm,
in the different scenes without being overbearing.
mhm, mhm.
And the other thing too is the characters actually go through real life situations. There's
Yeah,
like, there's not things that. There's some controversial things that Jerry will tackle in a tasteful way. You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
But he doesn't shy away from,
right.
which
Exactly.
is really good. And that's one of the things I have, with when we talk about the older, the faith based films, you know, it was like they wanted to touch on something, but then they
Right, right.
proceeded to say something.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're seeing shows like Vindication, what Jared's doing with that, and touching on the different issues.
Yeah.
I think is really cool. So, and it's one of the reasons I love the show so much. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Just pull me right in.
so so you're in Atlanta.
Mhm.
How did you get involved with Vindication?
Okay. How did I let me see. Let me see. Okay, I think after I watched season 1, I think Jared put out that he was having auditions for season 2.
Okay.
It might have been on like Facebook or something like that.
Right.
And I remember like messaging him, telling him, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the show. Like, I'd love to like audition for you." And so I think he did. Yeah, he ended up like sending me an audition for season 2 for one of the characters. I didn't book it. But that was it. And so like just like over the years, we just kind of like still like just kept in touch. Like he works with a lot of actors that are my friends and stuff like that. So we just kind of kept in touch. And then just out of the blue, one day he was like, "Trey, that's TC Stallings' character,
Right.
Needs a wife. Would you like to do it?" And of course, but here's the thing. So he like kind of offered it, but then he was like, "But I want you to audition for it too." So I still had to like audition.
You audition for it. He already knew you.
So he's like, "It's kind of yours, but prove it. Like, right. And I think that that's brilliant too, because it's like, let me just make sure. Cause like, if I didn't actually fit the vision, like, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Like, let's make sure the vision fits and all that jazz. So yeah. So after I sent that in, he was like, yeah, it's yours. And so I was, of course, ecstatic to be able to join the show that I was a fan of. So yeah, that's how that happened.
Wow. So now they go to season 4. So do they just finish wrapping season 4, or they got another block?
Yeah, another block.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. So it's the final episodes of season 4, but they're doing it in blocks.
Right.
So that block that we did, you and I, and your daughter was there.
Yeah.
That was the first block. I think they'll finish it out. I want to say in May, and then post-production, and here we go. Some good stuff. I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to it. You know, they with the end of season 2 going into 3, you know, during that time, I swear I had everybody on. I had Todd Terry, Venus Monique, Cameron Arnett came on, Jared. And it was in between that season 2 and season 3 when you're trying to figure out who's in the bag.
Oh, yes.
And I have all these people coming on. They all have the answer.
Yeah.
Because season 3 had come out. And so, I waited so long for season 3. But that was a great season. So I'm really looking forward to what they're doing with season 4.
Yeah. I know.
So
Jared's good with like keeping it like under the wraps. Like
but he's good with the cliffhangers too. Cliffhanger, and so you anticipate the next season. He's really good at that. So, and I'm really excited too where it's going, because for a while it was on Pureflix. Now it's getting picked up by Redeem.
Yeah, Redeem TV.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I know he's trying to get it on Netflix. Picked up through Netflix or some of the other bigger streaming services. So.
I didn't even know that. He's going for Netflix.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get it to a bigger streaming. I may be wrong. Jared tell me, he's going to text me and he'd be like,
"That's not what I said."
But I think it's
totally fit on Netflix though. It can fit
and then they should get it, because it should be mainstream. It's a great show, and it has a great message. Even people who don't typically watch faith-based films, I think this is something that they will still enjoy, and then they'll still get the message too, So, and besides that, with all the other stuff on Netflix, they need some good stuff too. So it wouldn't hurt them to watch the shows like this. But, so now we were talking about TC Stallings and Cameron Arnett. That new movie, The Forge. You said you have a small role in that?
Yeah, I play like Cameron Arnett's secretary.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember Cameron Arnett's name in the film. I can't even remember the name. We shot that last year. But anyway, I play his secretary for the business that he owns. So yeah, it was great. It was a good time.
Right.
And the film deals with discipleship.
Right.
Which we need. Exactly. We need to amp it up. Even like myself, like I feel convicted to be like, you need to amp it up. I was I'm pretty sure Venus told you like she has something called the Powerhouse Sisterhood.
Yeah.
And so like we a couple of us ladies in the industry, maybe there were like 4 or 5 of us. We would like mentor younger actors and creatives in the industry who wanted to put Christ first. So we were doing that, which was great. But now the sisterhood is kind of like merged together, where like the younger are all mixed in with the older. So
Right.
there's not as much mentoring going on as there was before.
Right.
But I feel like I definitely need to find a way to get back into that, because discipleship is very important.
Right.
So yeah, for sure. It's good stuff. Good stuff.
Right. And I'm looking forward to that movie because, like you said, the subject matter for that movie is really needed in our in this generation.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like, how old is your daughter?
She just turned 22.
22. Okay, so she's older. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I saw her. I thought she was like a teenager when I saw her on set. Okay, but I have like younger boys. I have 3 boys, and they're aged 15, 12, and 11. And like the stuff that they come home with and telling me, like so and so said so and so, and just hearing all of that stuff. And I'm like, wow, like we definitely have to like purposefully surround our kids with like good and positive influences, and just guide them in the right way, because there's so much noise out. This is crazy. Like we didn't have this much. We had noise coming up, but not this kind of crazy noise. Like it's just so much, and it's like constant, and it's like, ooh, okay.
And that's the other thing too, is this generation grew up during the pandemic, and so they were kind of separated. So they relied heavily on technology, their phones or whatever, for its communication. And I think one of the things for this movie is it shows the importance of human interaction.
Yeah.
And, having that older generation step back in and teach the younger generation instead of them getting all their information from, a telephone.
Yeah. True that.
So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great movie. So I'm talking about the sisterhood that you and Venus, and there's a couple other people on that. So you guys are working on a new project?
Oh, okay. So this is separate. Okay. So while we were doing the sisterhood, there was like a strong desire just kind of came up in a few of us to like start a production company. And so me, Venus, and Stephanie Half just were like, let's do it. So the 3 of us have created a production company called K Russo Production, which means K Russo means to proclaim.
Okay.
We're all about proclaiming the truth and God's word. So we've been talking and meeting with people for a year or 2, just getting wise counsel, because all 3 of us are actors. So we just kind of didn't, and I won't say that we do, but we definitely didn't understand the business aspect of it when we were first, brainstorming and everything. So now we have a better sense. We still have so much more to learn, but we're ready to move forward. So we're going to be shooting our first short film that Stephanie Half wrote. It's called Daisy, based on a true story that deals with witchcraft. We'll shoot that in June in Pennsylvania.
Oh, wow.
So, we're super excited, and we'll just see where God takes everything. But it's exciting.
Cool. And what's it like going from, being an actress on a set to now putting out your own, kind of feature film? What's that transition been like?
Yeah, it's a whole lot more work. So it's not for the faint of heart. I don't think I have so much respect for filmmakers, because there's just so much work, and it's like I don't see how people would do it unless they felt like it was like a calling, or you know what I mean, like they just felt like they had to do it. But I couldn't see myself doing it for fun, because it's just a lot. It's a lot, and then a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money that you have to invest. So that's been like challenging. I love it. I love it, but at the same time, it's like super challenging. Acting is, in my opinion, so much easier. I just show up and then I leave. right? Right. But with producing, you're like there from the very beginning, like before you're even doing anything, and then you actually have to shoot it, and then you have to be with it after it shoots, and
Right.
all that jazz. So it's a definite different ball game.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Sharonne, let me ask you this: since you've done theater, you've done television,
Uh-huh.
and films. Now you kind of get into the producing part. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned this far?
Ooh. To not let fear get the best of you.
Mm,
So if you feel like God has called you to it,
right.
just put one foot in front of the other. You won't always have the answers. So I think like our human nature is to try to figure out everything. At least
Right.
I am. Like I'm more of a logical person. I'm like trying to figure out everything. But
Right.
you won't always have everything figured out. But if he told you to go, just put one foot, trust him.
Right.
And if it's him, he's going to provide an answer. So he'll provide that one answer, right? Okay, so now
Right.
you got another question. All right, trust him again.
Right.
Just go. He'll provide another answer, and you just keep going and going and going. So yeah, that's probably the biggest, most important thing. You can't just get stuck doing nothing because fear can literally paralyze you, and
Right.
then you just doing nothing. And we were not created. We were not created to do nothing.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I tell people this all the time, man. Everybody was created. The way I put it is everybody's uniquely designed with a purpose.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then you just have to figure out what God's calling is on your life. What is the purpose?
Yeah.
Um, and then, like you said, don't be afraid to go for it, because if that's what God called you to do, even you can't stop you from doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Amen.
So,
And here's a caveat too. So
mhm,
say you got it wrong and you
right,
thought God was calling you to do something, but you got it wrong. Okay, that's fine. He'll course direct. So you fell
right,
down, trust him to pick you back up and scoot you on the right path. So
right.
it's like just
Well,
go.
and then there's the other thing too is sometimes you're on a path one way and it's the right path,
Uh-huh.
and then um, sometimes you go to a different, you
Uh-huh.
go to another chapter of your life, and it's a different thing. And I'm thinking like
Yeah.
someone like Emmitt Smith, who was a running back for the Dallas Cowboys. His purpose was to be the running back of the Dallas Cowboys, and then he got old enough where he couldn't do that anymore. Now he's got a new purpose.
Yeah. Amen. And I think that's part of what I was saying too, actually, when you cut out.
Right,
Um is that like I don't I definitely wouldn't say there's like one calling on everybody's life. We have
right,
different callings and different
right,
purposes. And so yeah, like you just have to live out those. My example was like I'm a wife, I'm a
right,
mom. At one point in time, I was a registered nurse. You know what I mean? So you're in different places at different appointed times.
right,
And you just do your calling. And you think about like Paul, like the apostles or whatever, they had to travel to different places. And say different words at different times. You know what I mean?
right.
They're just stuck in one place. Like it's like
Well,
you gotta move. You gotta move.
right. So, but yeah, so that's um, you know, one of the things is overcoming that fear, and just going for it, and figure out what your calling is. So, talking about that, or speaking about that, I have a lot of new um, actors that come in. Like this
Uh-huh.
is their first gig. This is they're trying to break into the industry. What's the biggest piece of advice you would give to somebody who's trying to get into the industry?
Hmm. Like trying to get in, or they already have their first gig.
Well, I mean, a lot of them, I guess, has done their first, at least background, or
Uh-huh.
had some part in a film. And this is like, hey, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And they,
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I would advise why because that like you're like, okay, I want to start like having lines and all that stuff. But I would advise that while you're seeking those opportunities to continue to do background work and while you're on those sets, watch and observe. Those were like super powerful moments for me. I remember being on a set. It was a Tyler Perry set. This is before he went, you know, now he has a whole bunch of nudity and
yeah,
you know, so okay, so this is back in the day before, you know, like when he was like,
Right,
you know,
right.
cleaner. But I was on the set, and an actress by the name of Loretta Devine. I don't know if people know who she is, but she's a really popular known actress in the African American community. She's awesome, amazing with her talents. But I was background, and she was doing the scene, and I'm watching and I'm observing, and I'm just thinking this is like perfect. And then Tyler Perry is like, Loretta, that's great, but I wasn't picturing the scene like that. I actually wanted it to be like more comedic. It's because she was doing it like more like a dramatic way. And so she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. All right." He was like, "Action," and she just flipped that thing on the script, like just flipped it, like boom, like didn't even hesitate. And that was like a moment that stuck out in my brain, and it was like, okay, you cannot, and they tell you this, but it's like it solidified it. Like you cannot go onto these sets. You have your own idea, you've done your homework, this is how you think it should go, but you cannot have that locked in your brain, because if they needed to go another way and you're stuck that way, you're gonna have a hard time. You're gonna hold up production. Like he didn't have to do that scene another time. Like after she did, she nailed it right then. So it was like boom, done. Like I'm like, okay. So it teaches you little things like that you may not have like really thought of. And just knowing like how to hit your mark, knowing like how the cameras move, all that's important to know, like as an actor. If you don't know that, then just you get on set and you just fumble around. Case in point, my first time on Army Wives, I was closing myself off to camera. Like the director literally had to say, "Hey, can you like open yourself up to camera?" And I was thinking to myself, great, they know I'm like green. The fact that he's having to tell me this, they know I don't know. But like the more you can be on set, like the more that stuff will sink in. So once you do get your speaking lines, you're ready to fly. And you know, so yeah, that would be my recommendation. Do a lot of background work, and even do like student films. I love I built up my acting reel to be able to audition for the bigger projects by doing student films, because a lot of times they're not looking for professional actors because they can't pay the professional actors. So they're gonna look at your stuff and let you audition and possibly be a part of their film, because they don't have the money to pay you, and you're willing to do it without getting paid. So now you've gotten this great footage and you've learned, and you're able to use that, you know, to, you know, one step at a time to go up the next step. So that's my recommendation.
You know, and you know, to your point too, just being on set and seeing how the different things are working, you know, the lighting, the grip, you know, the way that the producer is setting up scenes, all that stuff helps.
Yeah. Like when you did Vindication a couple of weeks ago, was that your first time? I can't remember if that was your first time doing background work or.
Yeah, it was my first time. But so,
okay,
well, technically, back when I was around 18, 19, they shot Necessary Roughness in Denton.
Oh, okay.
With Sinbad and Scott Bakula. It was a football film.
Gotcha.
I was 18, and I brought a script up to the film commission, one of the scripts I've written, and they're like, "Hey, come be on this set." So I got to be a fan in the in the bleachers.
Gotcha.
You know, one of the games, but I guess that was technically my first. But but to actually be on set, like, you know, like what we were doing on Vindication, that was like my first actual on camera, where people actually probably will see me. So
yeah. And did you learn things that you didn't expect to learn while you were there?
Oh,
this is how I pictured it.
Well, I mean, I've been on sets before, like not been, you know, so
oh, okay.
Yeah, so I kind of know how things work. Gotcha. I've always been on the other side of the camera, you know.
Gotcha.
But to be like on set, you know, yeah, it was, you know, one of the things I kind of forgot is how many times you have to do a scene, you know, and the different camera angles, because you got to change from one camera angle to a different camera angle. And I don't want to give away what the scene was, but yeah. So we're in different places at different times, you know.
Right.
And then you doing multiple takes. So I mean, I had a lot of fun. And my daughter got to be hang out with Jared. and he was showing her, how to block the set and block the shot and kind of what he was looking for, because she does all my my live camera work. So like if we do a live in person interview, she does all my lights and cameras. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet. Cool. Love it. All right. Hey.
So let me ask you this: what is your ideal role? Is there like a specific role or a movie you would love to be in?
I have been wanting to play in an action movie, but actually have action. So, right. So I think like I've gotten like the opportunity to like, make can I announce? I'm trying to think. Do I need to filter? Oh no, I don't think so. Because so TC Stallings is like working on an action film. For a while he was keeping it quiet, but he actually has it on IMDb. You could see it on. I think you could see it on IMDb Pro now, so where he's announced it. But haven't began production yet or whatever. But it's an action film. It's amazing, right? But like my character like won't have any action, and I'm like, what torture? Like,
I could have made a film and I don't get to have any action. So
like I've been wanting to do action, and I get all excited. I'm like, wait, but my character doesn't. So right now, I think that's like I would love to do that. I'm getting older, so it's like, okay, let's do this before I can't do it. Like, hopefully, I'll be always able to do it. You know what I mean? I could be in my 70s and still pull it off for me, but you know.
So we're working on getting TC on. So I'm gonna tell him the next film. Did you have action? Bring her back in and let her have some.
Yes, please tell him. Yes, well, he can rewrite the current script and just stick something in there real quick.
Right? It reminds me when they did the Vindication Zoom. That's one of the things he was asking about is the action sequences from season 2 and season 3. To be able to go do some of that stuff. I thought that was really cool, and I'd like to see more of that in Vindication.
Yeah.
So I know Jared watches this, so Jared, put more action in and give Sharonne some action roles.
Oh yes, yeah, Jared, you could do it too. Boom.
Well, cool. So you got the new movie Forge. You guys working on Daisy, the movie Daisy. Do you have any other projects in the works?
Yeah, so I have one releasing this month, April 26th, I think is when it hits the theaters. It's called Unsung Hero. Again, it's a small role. I play a billing rep, but it's a story about for King and Country, their journey over to the United States. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but
they did the movie Priceless too, which was
yep, that's right. I haven't seen that, but yes, and Rebecca St. James, she's part of that family. The Small Bones, that's their names, but yeah, she's part of that family. So that's a movie touching on their beginning stages. Beautiful, super beautiful. Like super happy to be a part of that movie. So that'll release next month. There's another movie called Searching for the Elephant that has released locally where it was shot in Virginia. However, after this round, they'll be figuring out distribution to get it out to the masses. So I don't know if they're gonna like start showing it in theaters across the country or just like find a good streaming outlet. I'm not exactly sure, but that was another one that's it's like faith is at its roots, but like the story doesn't like overtly like deal with I don't want to say like deal with faith because it has faith in it, right? But like, what am I trying to say? It's not like preachy, not at all. Like not at all. It really deals with real life, searching for the elephant. So it centers around a grandson and a grandfather who have like both of them have major issues. And can they come together? It deals with substance abuse. So I play the stepmom of the grandson. Just super amazed at like, because I got to see a sneak preview, super amazed at how it turned out. They had a very small crew. But it just turned out amazing. Like the I'm so proud of them. I'm like, oh, I cannot wait for it to like get out to like everybody. It's
right.
good stuff. Good stuff. It's called Cross Purposes Productions is the one who did that one. And I mean a couple of other little things here and there. Like I do like some Lifetime films, so I'll have I think 2 of them will release soon. So yeah, I don't know. I have to go through my list. I mean, no, it's serious.
Like that's a lot. You're busy.
Yeah, yeah. I've been blessed. I've been blessed to be able to continuously work. Oh, right now I do have a commercial out. It's my very first national commercial where I actually had like lines. Like I've done national, but I've been in the background. So this is the first one where I actually had lines. It's an America's Best commercial. And that one I'm super happy because I've been like doing commercials for like 10 years, right? And so like I was like, I just really want a national commercial. But at some point I was like, you know what, Sharonne, you just might not ever get a national commercial and just be okay with that. And I kind of was, but then this one came along and I'm like, oh, I actually did it. Like, so that's been exciting. So yeah.
Cool. So if somebody's wanting to follow your career, what's the best way for them to follow you through social media?
Gotcha. I'm going to confess that I am like not a good marketer of myself, which is for you actors out there, I would not necessarily recommend following my path because people are like, Sharonne, what are you doing? But like, I'm like, I just don't want to, I don't know. I don't want to do all that. So, because I used to have a website, I let that go. I used to have a couple of social media pages. I let that go. So now I really only have one social media page. So it's for friends, family. And, you know, if you want to follow me, you could follow me there too. But it's just Facebook, Sharonne Lanier, just like it's listed on the screen there. But then more accurately, because I don't always post all of my projects on Facebook because, like I said, it is for family and friends. And so I don't want to just keep putting all that stuff on there only.
Right.
If you go to my IMDb page, so if you type, you know, go to IMDb and just type in Sharonne Lanier, you'll be able to see most of the projects. You obviously won't see commercials. Some of the smaller independent films don't always post there, but most of them do. So that's probably a better, accurate way to follow the journey.
Wow. And so yeah, so you don't feel bad about it. A lot of people I bring on, actors, especially some of the older actors, they're not into the whole social media at all. They're like, it was like they say it's a lot of trouble to keep up with. But then you guys have such a busy schedule, you know, it's hard to always be posting stuff too.
Yeah. And it's tricky too, because a lot of it is like self-promotion, which you do need, you know, a certain amount to be able to continue to work, right? To get work. Like people need to know that you're out there working so that they can be like, hey, you know, let's hire her on or whatever. But at the same time, it's like I do what I do because I want to point people to Christ. So I'm not necessarily trying to point you to me. Like I'm really want to point you to God anyway. So it's like my brain just doesn't go like self-promotion. So
if you guys do want to follow her, check out her Facebook and she'll be able to put stuff on there. I have Venus coming up this week too.
Oh, do you?
Next week. She'll be here next week. But Sweet. Yeah. So and she's gonna tell me about the
Daisy?
The Women of Power.
Powerhouse. Yeah, the Powerhouse Suite.
Yeah, so she's going to talk about that, and then she's going to talk about Daisy and what she's up to too. So I'm excited about getting a chance to catch up with her. It's been a long time since I talked to her.
Yeah,
on the show, but so that's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. That's gonna be a good
conversation. So, what was it? There was one more question I was going to ask you, and it kind of slipped my mind. So we got season 4 is coming up. So make sure you guys catch season 4. I think it's gonna be a big surprise in season 4. We can't give it away, but you guys definitely want to follow season 4 of Vindication. So, but thank you again so much, Sharonne, for being on the show. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Cool.
I appreciate
I'm sorry my internet kicked me out for a little bit, but I think we did all right afterwards. So
yeah, it was all good. It was fun.
cool. Thank you again so much. I mean, I've been looking forward to this interview, be able to sit down and talk to you. Like I said, we got a lot of similar friends, with Ginger and and Venus, and it's funny because you did that short film with Ginger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, More Than a Diagnosis.
Yes.
She was awesome in that. Just a quick short film that deals with the diagnosis of Down syndrome. So powerful. So powerful. And that little short film, what is it, like 2 minutes or 3 minutes long? It's like it's based off of like real responses. Jeffrey Peterson put it together, and he interviews some people. It's just so powerful. I'm like, wow, you just made it so powerful in such a short amount of time. But it was great working with Ginger, and Jay is the kid who played the Down syndrome. By the way, let me just throw this out there real quick. So Jay is actually going to be featured in a feature film called Made with Love.
Right.
That David Hewins and Jackson are putting together. David and Jackson are a father and son team. They're brilliant in the industry. So they're getting that off the ground. So yeah, I just think it's gonna be great.
Right. And like you said, that little short film was like a couple of minutes, not even that long.
Yeah.
It was really, just a powerful film. So but that's why I saw you the first time I saw you, and I'm like, I don't know, I never put it together, when later, when I was going through my stuff, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, that's why I know Sharonne from.
Oh yeah. So that's great.
Well, cool. All right, guys, thank you guys for joining us. Remember, guys, you are uniquely designed with the purpose. Amen. And always keep moving forward. Peace.
Amen.